Hi guys. So drinking water, I have some tea. So I got the names. I have the names in front of me because obviously, well, I guess not obvious, but I feel like I can't go open the different tabs. So I was taking them, making sure I have all the names in front of me. Of course, you can tell me, right? It doesn't have, it's not like written in stone or anything. All right. So before I said goodbye last time, we were talking about I guess one important thing, the question about Jared and here's the relationship with his father, and then what the fate of the Kushner companies is going to be, okay, their business empire after the Mueller investigation, and then what happens to Eric Trump and Ivanka Trump in terms of an indictment. And I had written in a post that there are 4 questions especially for the Republicans. And they are, why are they attacking Mueller? What does Mueller have on them? Will this person be indicted? And if so, will they be found guilty? And what happens to this person's political career? Okay, so I feel like these are special cases, okay, in terms of, and I please let me know if you're I know you're watching, but if you feel like I should just skip and go to Republicans, or if I should I feel like it's important to ask these questions for Ivanka and Eric, but let me know if you have preferences otherwise, right? I feel like I'm going to go with that now because these are important questions. Okay. And, okay, so the question about Jared's relationship with his dad and what's going to happen to the Kushner empire, okay? So cards, please tell me about Kushner's relationship with his dad, because I've said in the past video just now that Kushner has a weird relationship with his dad, and his dad is a convicted felon, and it sounds a little bit like Trump actually. But he was, according to this book, a very important person it was his idea to basically fire Comey, okay? Not based whatever, like not based on, not his idea, but he was an important person, okay? Because according to the book, everybody in that cabinet was like, no, whoa, what are you thinking? Like, are you crazy? Don't do that. And so, but then Kushner's dad, because he was going to be investigated by Comey for some reason, or something like that. And he's like, oh yeah, let's fire him. And it's like, this is the guy who hired a prostitute to sleep with your sister's husband, and you made had to make a video and then showed to your sister. That's the person you listen to. Okay, that's a person to make important decisions that affect the country and the world. Jared Kushner listens to this person. Okay, now that's the level we're dealing with. Okay, and then I don't remember if I read an article or this book that said that in business meetings, people Jared Kushner called his dad daddy. Okay, woo. And then daddy. Okay, weird. And then people said, well, then they kiss, and it's like, it's fine. Like people say, well, Arab, some cultures people kiss and everything, but don't you think it's kind of weird? Like, imagine if you're like a business meeting, I don't know if it's like a lip kiss kind of thing. It's kind of weird. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to be modern. Okay, but it's a little kind of, it's kind of weird or whatever, right? So anyway, so let me find out about the relationship with his dad. Okay. What's Jared's relationship with his dad? Because I have a feeling like when I read that, I was like, whoa, kind of like abuse. Like, hello, he must have abused your son or something. Okay. So, and it's like he's just, I don't know, weird. Okay. So what's Jared? Tell me about the Kushner family and Jared's relationship with his dad, and how, well, I don't want to know that. I don't really care if he helped fire me, but like, what is the relationship of Jared like with his dad. Okay. And has his dad turned him into a serial killer? Because I feel like Jared Kushner is a serial killer. Okay. I feel like in 15 years we'll excavate and we'll find like pizza delivery man buried in the grounds of the White House. Okay. They went to deliver pizzas and never came back. I'm sorry. I feel like Jared Kushner is such a freak. Okay, so what's the relationship with Jared Kushner and his dad? Like what and what happens? Okay, and what happens? Is his dad? I feel like it's everything that Jared Kushner does. It's obviously going to take him further into jail, but it's almost like he listens to a person like that, to the dad who hired a prostitute to sleep with his sister's husband. So anyway. So, okay, so what's the relationship of, tell me about the past, Jared and Charles Kushner, their relationship, okay? All right. Jared and Charles Kushner were crooks and screwed people over. They were psychopaths. They screwed up this country. Great songs. I think it's going to be huge hits. Okay. Jared Kushner and his dad, Charles, were freaks. Jared Kushner was abused by his dad when he was growing up, I think. Okay. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. But anyway, so what's up? What's up with their relationship? Did his dad turn him into a serial killer? Okay. What is the deal here? What's up? It's so weird. It is too weird. Okay. And I said before, I yelled at, there was one person who was always asking me before about, if somebody committed suicide or got murdered by the Russian mob. I got very angry and I yelled at her. I feel bad, but it was just like, I don't look at these things. Okay. Like, I want to know. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So let me concentrate. Charles Kushner and Jared Kushner. Are they both psychopath serial killers? What's the deal? What's the relationship? Okay. Yeah, it's like, Jen is saying that Ivanka seems manipulative, and I guess in comparison. But it's like, yeah, you know what I feel like somebody said, I think it was a psychic, what's her name, Violetta, said that he dresses in women's clothes. I mean, I feel like I'm not, that doesn't seem far-fetched. It seems sort of realistic. I'm sorry, but he seems so gay, okay? I mean, obviously I have nothing against gay men. I love gay men, but like, I think his vibes are very gay. Okay. So at the center you have here, this is a card of conflict. And when it's like this, it means factions. It's the state after conflict. So for example, I think in the case of Kushner, it means the father influences him to be divisive, okay, to pursue division and in relationships and be basically Machiavellic, okay? So that's the thing. And this is the moon, and the moon is a card about your position in the world professionally, okay, or how you're seen in the world. So what I get from this is that his dad influences him by pushing him to be manipulative in order to attain status in the world, okay? This is the center. Now let's look at the past. Okay, well, let me look at all the cards together. As a child, it's like he had like plans for his son, okay? He had plans for the world and plans for the son. And I think he might have been too aggressive or pushed him too hard and pushed him in the wrong way. Like this is energy, positive energy, but down. Now, some people say, yeah, some people say this card is phallic, which is very clearly phallic. And I'm like, and I'm like, it's so obvious that I'm trying to be like, was this some kind of abuse or something? But anyway, so it's like this. So it's like there's a kind of a weird energy and like closed energy. And a lot of times parents, especially fathers, were very controlling and narcissistic. They cut off their children in the sense that they shaped it on like a bonsai tree, okay? In books. So in a way, I believe here the book, it's not necessarily about a secret, but about education. So he had plans for his education, for his standing in the world and his education. And he cut off his emotional, this is emotional, okay? Wrong emotional energy. And that created separations and separations and I guess problems, okay? You could say it's a problem in a way to his, I'm like a shrink or something. It's so funny, like sometimes I feel like this is so random, like I'm like just putting the stories together. And I think every person would probably look at it differently. But anyway, so it's like the whole thing for them is money, okay? And becoming established and having money as an entry to society, but doing it in a manipulative way. Let's see here. And the dad is kind of a cold, analytical and cold-minded in a way. Older man here. So I feel like he wants the status in the world to be permanent, to affect him. He wants to also bathe in the son's position in the world. Like he very coldly and simply plan these things so that he himself can obtain something from his son's position in the world. The snake, and it's all about money, okay, quid pro quo. It's funny, this card doesn't show debt, but it's all about quid pro quo. Oh, interesting. And well, I guess this is not, it's not something happened. Just stop talking about the relationship. But this is a wheel of fortune. So I feel like Jared is a privileged person. Okay, obviously we know that. His money and silver spoon. And here's this, it's interesting. I always find it interesting when the snake and the dog are together because they're opposites in a way, right? That the dog is a trusted person, a loyal person, and the snake obviously is not. So, and I think in a way that probably describes Jared well, right? Because he's a very snake person who's loyal to Trump. Although at the same time, actually, according to the book and according to some people, he leaks. So maybe he's not. He like he's like obsequious, but he's not a friend. Okay, he's a snake. Oh, and this is interesting. Let's see what happens. I haven't seen the other card, but this is like judgment or like upside down. And ooh, baby, I think I saw your indictment. Okay, because this is exciting. Okay, so this is like judgment upside down. Okay, not good. And the letter, so indictment. Okay, so essentially that's the picture I see here. I don't see, and it's funny because I think, yeah, I don't necessarily see anything. I was like, oh, there's something sexual. No, not necessarily. I think the father pushes the son hard for him to attain, and I feel like in a way, some people reading about Jared, because he wears, I forgot if it was a book or I think it was some article like at the making of Jared Kushner or something, and people were saying that obviously he came for money, but at the same time he's like some kid from New Jersey, and he bought that building and he bought that newspaper as a means to gain entry into the New York social world, and that didn't quite work. So him, like it's almost like they're saying like, was at Harvard, and apparently that was because of his dad. His dad gave $2.5 million to Harvard, and then suddenly he was admitted into Harvard or whatever. So anyway, so then he would drive a Range Rover and wear blazers, or like he was like trying to be like the WASP people. Okay, and if you've been to whatever, like, but basically a lot of colleges like that, the people who come from big families, they don't necessarily, you don't necessarily know that. Okay, they're very discreet. So so that's interesting. He always liked to look the part, even though he was actually an outsider. And marrying Ivanka, it was a way kind of to conform. I don't want to say conform. I think they are very well matched because both are freaks and they had narcissistic fathers, like they're sociopaths. Okay, but I think ultimately it's like marrying Ivanka was a way for him to marry into more money. Okay. Oh, interesting. John says, I think Trump paid someone to take his tests at school so he could pass anything. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I'm not surprised, right? Like, oh, and somebody said like there's no records of him at UPenn or whatever. Like he said he went. Anyway, so that's the relationship of Jared and his dad. So that makes sense. It's pretty normal, right? It seems like his dad kind of created a future for him in his mind, had a plan, pushed him to be Machiavellic and divisive as a means to attain status in the world. And he wanted Jared to attain those things so that he could also benefit from those things. And Jared is, as a result, a snake who's loyal and somebody who can be trusted. And it's all about money for him. But ultimately, that leads to negative judgment and an indictment. Okay, that's what it said. All right. So now the question is to the Kushner real estate empire as a result of the Mueller investigation, and also because I know AG Schneiderman is here in New York. He's going after them, I think. So as a result of the Mueller investigation and the other attorney generals, okay, so let's see what happens to, the question here is not necessarily about the person, but it's about the family. What happens to the Kushner business empire and real estate, okay, as a result of the Mueller investigation and the state attorney general, okay? Okay, what happens to the business empire, to the Kushner family business empire as a result of the Mueller investigation? Okay, so what happens to the Kushner business empire as a result of the Mueller investigation? What happens to the Kushner real estate business empire as a result of the Mueller investigation? What happens to the Kushner business empire as a result of the Mueller investigation? What happens to Kushner business empire? All right. So Kushner business empire as a result of the Mueller investigation. Okay. It's funny because, by the way, I was going to choose this as a significator, but it showed up by itself. Okay, so this is a battle, embattled, last battle, 9 of Wands, and the business. Okay, business institution, or it could be a business. So It's an embattled business. Okay. Yeah, so this is a crazy, I think this could be Trump. Okay, so basically a crazy man, an angry person, angry outbursts, and the guilty. Okay. And then someone trying to avert death, and the child. So guilt of the child. It could actually be, this could be not just Trump, but it could be Kushner. Okay, because of the child here. And the question is about the Kushner family. And again, avert, this is the card of defeat, and is trying to avert defeat. And moving to something better. So it's interesting because this card is generally very positive, moving out to something better. So the guilty child moves to something. We could maybe move to Washington. The guilty child or the burdened child wanted to change to move on to something better. But what it's interesting here, what I think the cards are showing that is that, and I remember seeing this in one of the readings I did for about Kushner, is that he came into the government as a burdened person. Like the debts were burdening him, and he had a problem to solve. It wasn't like he's like, oh yeah, sure, let's get into the government. It was like, this is a way for us to deal with this serious problem, okay, which is my debts. My debts are due to the real estate stuff. And then you have, which I don't think roughly could be the present, disappointment in terms of growth, in terms of health. Disappointment, I'm sorry, growth. It's like the issue really is the growth of the business, the health of the business, and having conversation, the health and longevity of the business. And as we know, a lot of the investigations have to do with how Kushner used his position as leverage, right, to get better loans through Deutsche Bank and all that stuff. So that's it. Like, and that's like he's uses government. The Kushner family empire grows through meetings. Okay, the growth of the Kushner empire through meetings and using the leverage of the position. Okay. Let's see here what happens. Yeah, I think there's problems. This card upside down, things don't turn out so it's like this. I like to see this card lately as a be careful what you ask for card. Okay, so expansion, and there's justice. Expansion of something legal impacts their position in the world, and they are aggressive. There are some problems. There's problems. There's a clouds, basically. Clouds over the horizon for the Kushner family. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because as we know, it's likely that the government will take their whatever assets. So I don't know. It's almost like I'm actually seeing this line here. Makes me think that he's already taught, like his lawyers are talking about ways to get to a better position. Okay, to kind of try to not escape it, but move on, and they don't really seem, they won't succeed. Okay, and yeah, it's all about the position, and I feel like this is saying the child of the government, you know, of the enterprise and his position in the world. So I think whatever happens to Jared impacts the company here. And what I get this to be saying is that Jared's fate is the fate of the company. Okay. And I think I see this is like, this is karma, this is bad, like worry and guilt. So the growth is doomed. There's something doomed here. This was the first part. There's something really doomed about the growth, because it's like the dream is doomed. Okay, there's something not working quite as well, and there's gonna be problems. But ultimately, I think here, what I get from this reading is not super dramatic, nothing amazing or anything, but what it's saying is that whatever happens to Jared happens to this company. So it's almost like besides the point asking what happens to the company, because since the company is Jared and the real happens to Jared. Okay, so we know that I've done hundreds of readings on him. He definitely gets whatever, he's guilty and stuff. So that was that. Now let's ask the direct question about the indictment. Moving is still in the Trump family. Okay, what happens to Ivanka Trump? Okay, I feel like I've done extensive readings about how her fate is related to her family and everybody getting them indictments. But I feel like her specifically, I did not ask as far as I remember, or even if I did ask the question before, why not ask it again? Because I feel like I don't know the answer, so I need to know. So the question really is, will Ivanka Trump be indicted as a result of the Mueller investigation? Okay, that's really the basic question. There, like I said, there are 3 mini questions. Maybe should I ask? Yeah, I think I want to ask these questions because the questions are, what does Mueller have on this person, on Ivanka Trump? Will Ivanka Trump be indicted? And if so, will she be found guilty? And then 3, what happens to this person's career? I mean, the question is political career, but I guess she is in politics, right? We should ask because she's, it's like, can you believe how crazy she has like a very senior, she has a very senior role. It's ridiculous. Like, she should not have that role. So she does have, actually, even though I don't think of her as a politician, she does have a political career. So that makes sense, because it's important to find out if it ends for her, because if it ends for her, it's a good thing for us. So that's the question. Okay, Ivanka Trump, will she be indicted? Let me do the other cards. All right, yeah. Swatted by, that's funny. Oh my god. Oh my god, did you, can we get even started on this? The book said that there was a pact between Ivanka and Ivanka's gonna run for president, and that she's gonna be the first. Can you imagine Ivanka? Like, what kind of person? First of all, a person who thinks they're gonna be president, I think is great, but like, it's a serious thing. It's not like, oh, I think I'm gonna be president, okay? Like, okay, I think I'm gonna be president. All right, like, okay. Like, it's not, even though Trump got elected, it's like, we have to admit, he has talents. Like, he's like the greatest con artist of all time. Now, Ivanka Trump, I'm sorry, but she's not very likable, okay? Yeah. She's not, okay, and I'm like, okay, she's hot. Like, men probably want to have sex with her or whatever, but like, that's it. Okay, like, I'm sorry, like, she's not, and I've said before when I ranted about her, and the long reading I did about her, I was like, oh, I used to almost admire her because she looks so nice in like clothes and stuff. She's like well dressed, and like her Instagram and stuff before the Trump election. And I can't believe I'm just repeating myself here, but I feel like the story is relevant. But like, this is how things change. But I even thought like, oh, say what you will about Donald Trump, but his kids are so together. Can you imagine? And this is why people like him should never go do politics, because if she hadn't run for president, if he hadn't been president, she could have still have the status that she had, and people would think she's like glamorous and beautiful and so put together and everything. But because she's involved in politics, like, we see who she is, like the trash that she is, like, this person who's able to destroy the country and like have a straight face. I feel like a lot of people said, and I agree, that she's just like her dad. It's just like she looks better. Okay, she's just has that same sense of like, exactly. she has the same sense of entitlement. Like, oh, I'm so much better than everybody. Oh, well, my dad, he's so, we were so pleased. I want to help women in the workplace. Like, whatever bullshit. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, manipulator, exactly. She's just like really like, and if you think about it, like I can't believe she's like, because I sometimes I don't know why, but I think of them separately, and it's like what Bannon says, it's like Javanka, but I think of them. But can you imagine that like serial killer Jared Kushner is married to Ivanka? It's like you can't believe that like these people are so. It's like there's too much evil for like two people. It's amazing. Anyway, so let me concentrate. I'm just ranting. So what does Mueller have on Ivanka Trump? Will Ivanka Trump be indicted? And if so, will she be found guilty? And what happens to her, let's say life, not career. What happens to Ivanka's life after once the Mueller investigation ends? What happens to Ivanka's life once the Mueller investigation ends? What does Mueller have on her? We should be indicted, because that's what I want. Indicted. Okay, we should be indicted. All right. Okay. So, what does Mueller have? Work at Payless Shoes. That'd be cool. Like, but I feel like I would totally go. Like, I'm not at all that person. But I'd be like, can I try? I want to try that one, and you like make okay, horrible. Anyway, so okay, so all right, so what does Mueller have on Ivanka Trump? She should be indicted, and what happens to her life after the Mueller investigation? Okay. 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 Okay, so let's see if I do the 4 thing. Okay, here. It's funny. I don't know that she. Okay, let me, because I separated the 3 parts. So, what does Mueller have on her? Okay, so this is wrongful victory. She loves it. She's happy. That's what she is. She's a misguided, wrong person. She has a degree of disappointment. She is happy. She has a good health. Like she reaps the rewards, basically, of the situation. This is a card of painful ending. Okay, so in order to avert a painful ending, there's something related to an election here. So she's happy with the election because she feels it could avert an ending. Painful ending. And she works hard. She's assertive behind the scenes in the public eye. So it's like I think I've said this one time reading about her. I feel like she's the public image. Okay. So she's the health of the public image related to Trump. And she's happy about the election because the election helps the public image of the Trump family. and he grows the family in the public eye, and so forth. So she's in for the ride. Okay, I don't feel like from these cards, I don't get a sense that he thinks she's super involved necessarily. Okay, she's just aware. She's like, the feeling I get here is that she's actually the CEO of the company. Okay, she is concerned about the legacy of the company. Now, the feeling I get here, and I'm getting an image of Mueller. He's talking to someone. He's saying like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bloodbath. We don't necessarily want this to be about, quote unquote, destroying the whole family. We want to isolate the guilt, and we want to like, I don't think that she's part of it, but I don't think she's a target like the other ones are. Okay, because it's saying like, I think Mueller is aware of public image. So because they have kids, I feel like he's a little wary of like necessarily going for her as well. He's like, if he thinks that Jared is a better target, which he is. But anyway, let me just tell you what I see here. So she knows stuff related to, and this is now I've talked about what Mueller sees in her. What does he have on her? Now this is the part about the indictment. Now I don't think, and I'll show you. Okay, so this is a card of money, wrongful money from the man. So she's involved in some of the shenanigans related to Trump, and this is a card of moving on to better waters, travel also, and the mountain. So there's mountain is long-term opposition, long-term problems. So this was about indictments. Okay, so this is a lot of problems for the child here, and I don't believe, for some reason I do believe this is Trump. I don't think this is her. It could be her actually, but I don't think it is. I think it would have been a woman if it were her. Oh, and and she could be. This is actually Queen of. You know what? Maybe this. Well, this is a woman who has like shady money. Is like shady money things. But I think she's a representative of her dad. I think ultimately that if anything, even if it's her, the child here is. So problems for the child, for the dad, okay? And this is a card of family, happiness in the family, okay? And it's a card of weddings. Now, I think I've said this before, because they are the first family and they're the presidential family, whatever happens to them, it's I think what I'm saying is essentially, this is about their family, but it's also about the country. So I feel like because it's like this, it's like the country, the family in disarray, the country in disarray, and you have the guilty card. So he is guilty, okay? And I think she's guilty by association, but I don't necessarily see a paper, I think necessarily, although if the question, actually I have to be fair, because if the question is, will she be indicted, and you have a guilt cross, then it's possible, okay? I can't totally dismiss it. And you have here, she's like having a hard time leaving. And I wonder if like, Trump, she tries to have Trump leave, okay? So she has a hard time. This is interesting, right? Because you have the child here, top, guilty child. And the guilt sends them away. I mean, sometimes you could also feel like this could almost be prison. I don't think she goes to prison, but it's like guilt sends you away or makes you leave. And then it's like hard. The child, long-term problems could be, there's something related to negative movements, okay? Because you have the negative guilt, it leads them to move on, okay, to something else. And this moving on, it's like moving on from long-term problems. But I think in the context of what we know about this issue, what this really means is this causes a lot of problems for her. And and they have to leave. Like, I feel like I sense a kind of a scarlet letter situation. If she's not indicted, then I think bad things, very bad things happen to her, and she's like forever tainted. Okay. But because, I mean, it's a question, an open question here, because since I don't see the card, I see the card, the child is guilty, and the guilt, I don't think she, and I'm thinking to myself, does it mean that she moves on from the guilt? That'll be fucked up. I feel like, you know what, I think she's going to have to be dealing with so many legal issues that she has to, it's like she could move on from the situation that she's in, as she's always going to have these like long-term problems. Okay. So that's that. I don't, honestly, anyway, I think this is like, it's bad either way. Either she gets an indictment or not. I think she's guilty by association. Okay. I don't necessarily think that she's going to be like Manafort and all these people. Okay. I think Mueller is really targeting Jared much more than her, but I think she's going to have to carry this burden. That's another interesting thing. It's like carry a burden, travel with a burden. Okay. So she's going to have to carry this burden for her whole life. Okay. Now it's interesting because here you have what happens. So the last part of the question is what happens to her life after the Mueller investigation. Okay. So this is Jen asked, do you think the Trump name will be taken off? I feel like those buildings are going to be gone quickly. It's not their buildings. It's not going to be their buildings anymore. Okay. All right. So this is a family upside down. Okay. All right. This is it's like her family's upside down. This is loss. She loses everything. She loses her family. Okay. What does she lose? She loses money. Okay. This is money losses related to money losses. And this is interesting because the money is like, this is a card of it could also be a card of social prominence. Okay. Person who has a prominent in the public eye. So she loses money and social prominence. She also, this is like bad news. Okay. Bad news about her partner. So she loses a partner. She loses money. And she becomes a pariah. This is like my interpretation. You're going to become a pariah, okay? Because this is a person who's isolated. This is a person who's like in a spiritual path. Like, I feel like in a way, this is like, I'm kind of isolated a little bit. I'm like in my own world or whatever. This is me, like, you know, Armid, kind of like look inside. This is like the person who's like isolated in a bad way, okay? So she becomes isolated. Now, this is interesting, because this is a card of a deal, okay? And this is also a card of marriage, okay? So I wonder, honestly, if she marries somebody else. I mean, actually, it doesn't show there's no scythe here to say that she divorces Kushner, but she may remarry a wealthy person. Like, she may lose Jared first, like she loses, because here's like a loss of money, loss of social prominence, loss of partner, but then there's a partner here with a ring. So I honestly wonder. It's also saying that she could lose business, you know, lose that. It's part of it. Money related to marriage at the same time. So it's possible that while she loses her partner, while she loses her social prominence and her money, she may regain it through a second marriage, something like that. Okay. Yeah, it's like, exactly. So I feel like it's kind of interesting. And I feel like I've seen this before in other readers say something like that. Like she's almost like a cold person. She understands, like, she's like a hustler. She understands that she loses all her money. She loses her family. Like, she loses her status. But quickly, she's like, I'm going to get married again right away. Marries a rich person again. And and regains money that way. Okay. Yeah, she had the hospital. Yeah, I mean, a lot of even Kate Middleton had too, but I think he has a like a more not as attractive, but like a woman he can count on, basically. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, so it's interesting here, and I think for anybody who has any political ambitions, Ivanka is poison, obviously. Okay, so anyway, so I feel like maybe she just marries a banker or somebody like that. Who knows? So yeah. So anyway, so I feel like yeah, like it's possible that also she more intrigued about this middle part here, about the guilt and the child, and basically the president has problems, gets into serious trouble, and guilt, and she, it could also be, because some people have suggested it's possible that she moves on to something better after his guilt, and that in a way it's possible. I saw that before when I did another reading about her. She was a snake, and she was snake on Trump, like she's ratting on him. So it's possible that once he's guilty, she's like kind of moves away, because she's going to have both guilty husband and guilty dad and lose her family. That's a big deal. So she's willing to throw him under the bus so she can get something better, Yeah. So I feel like we don't know really. Somebody said in one of the reasons I think, which is true, like, what if he abused her? Like, wouldn't he want revenge or something? Especially she has 3 young kids, like, and Trump is like, so, he's pretty old, and did you see, by the way, did you see his diet? Apparently, like, this is one meal. He orders 2 Big Macs, 1 fish fillet, and 1 milkshake, chocolate milkshake. Okay. Anyway, so it's like, he's not, yeah. Yeah, and I don't think, honestly, Padge, I feel like that's why it's so funny. He goes to McDonald's. And it's like, I honestly, if I worked at McDonald's and I knew like people from the White House were there like to order, I'd be like, seriously, like putting shit in there. Like, don't you think like people would totally do that. Be like, White House, okay. Delivery for the White House. Like, like, step over by the. Anyway. Oh my God. Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like she's a survivor. I'm a survivor. Like, seriously, like, not in a good way, because, she's a horrible person. But at the same time, I feel like she quickly, maybe marries and moves to Scarsdale, New York or something. Like, she's kind of like a suburb, like a suburb where she becomes a housewife and disappears from public eye, finally. Okay. And as Trump, honestly, I think he's just out there, like, he's totally out of it. Obviously, like the ridiculous Camp David bullshit. Like, you could tell he's out of it. I mean, like, who can you imagine? Like, who is it an advisor? I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. It's hard to. I think it would be harder for her Europe, actually, because like people hate Trumps even more than they do here. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. So that's Ivanka Trump. Like, I think she's involved. She's guilty by association. Life is going to throw some real dark shit at her, because she's going to lose both her husband, I think, and the dad. So, and the power, but quickly she rebounds. She's like, what options do I have? And I think she may, even marry an older man who would support her, basically. Okay, and her kids. Once Jared goes off to prison and spends, I don't know how many years. All right, so, okay, let me move on here, because we have a lot to do today. So now the question, I feel like I've never done Eric Trump. All right. What is up with poor Eric? Not poor, he's not poor, but like Eric Trump, the idiot. Like, they're all idiots. Eric Trump is like, it's just like, it's unbelievable. Like, he was, whatever. I'm not, there's nothing to, what am I going to say about Eric Trump? Like, oh, really? We got to stay. So what happens to Eric Trump? Is Eric Trump indicted? What's up with Eric Trump? What happens to him? Okay, so So let's ask this question. So what does Mueller have on Eric Trump? Will Eric Trump be indicted? Will he be found guilty? Okay. And what happens to Eric Trump's life after the Mueller investigation? Okay. It's interesting because like Ivanka, because of her looks and because she's a woman, she can remarry. But Eric Trump, like, I don't think an heiress is going to marry Eric Trump. Like, he's already married, by the way. And like, okay. So anyway. So what happens to Eric Trump? What's the deal with Eric Trump? Mueller investigation. Eric Trump, Eric Trump, Eric Trump. I don't know. You're so dumb. Eric Trump. Okay. So Eric Trump. Yeah, you know, I think, oh, definitely. You know, I haven't done Don Jr. You know, let's do Don Jr. again. I'm like, but let's do Eric. Okay, Eric Trump, the blonde guy who. What happens to Eric Trump, and the Mueller investigation? Eric Trump. Okay, Eric Trump. Eric Trump. And the Mueller investigation. Eric Trump. Eric Trump. And the Mueller investigation. Eric Trump. Yeah. Eric Trump and the Mueller investigation. Eric Trump and the Mueller investigation. Eric Trump. Mr. Eric Trump and the Mueller investigation. Eric Trump and the Mueller investigation. Okay. Okay. So what does Mueller have on him? Yeah, Russia, no. He's like, imagine they get there, they're like, here's the gulag. You go to work 40 hours a day. Whatever. Like, you know, can you imagine? They'd be like, whatever, we don't care about you. Okay. Okay. Okay, Siberia. Imagine. Eric Trump, your flight to Siberia is waiting. Please head to gate 9. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So what does Mueller have on Eric? And what it's showing very clearly here, it's like he is a money contact for foreign country or countries. And this is a person who has a high status. And he's a safe contact for foreign individuals. We're looking to do business with the company. So this is a card of heartbreak, or there's like some upsets about the business, because here's the business. So foreign interest in the family business. And there's some disharm because, you know, there's an upset about some sort of deal has gone wrong and an opportunity presented to the business. So I feel like the whole thing with Russia for them is because, there basically there were business opportunities for him. Okay, business opportunities that kept the company afloat, even though there's some shady, like the company was not doing well in reality. So that kept him afloat. Okay. Now, in terms of the question of, I don't know, actually, it's inconclusive about the indictment. So this is a country upside down, or the family upside down, and the person, the boss, or person in power, and he may have had sudden, like, this is like, this could be sudden, he could have been promoted almost, like, or have had power because the dad was now the dad is the president, and he's, as we know, connected to this like old-fashioned power structured. And there's news coming about him being boss, and he's in a weak position because everything is being looked at related to Trump. Okay, so I don't, this is interesting because this is a card of news. Okay, so in a way, an indictment would be news, but I don't not necessarily see this. I just see it as like news about the boss or messenger. This is also a messenger. Message from the boss. Yeah, I don't know that. I don't think he gets. I honestly, guys, I don't necessarily think is he going to jail. I feel like he could, just because he's so involved with the whole thing. It's weird. Yeah, it's like maybe he's a messenger or something. Weird. And I feel like there are cards here. This is a card related to prison. Okay, like I said before. And a person going away. He could go away like this because of his relationship to Russia. Okay. That doesn't go away. And I wonder, honestly, if he leaves. Like someone said he could travel. And now that people said this, it's possible. It's true. It's like he could move away. He could even move. Like, imagine if he moves to Russia. This is a woman. It could be his wife. But I feel like maybe he moves to Russia or something. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he has like a job in terms of messaging or communication, and he's having a hard time. Okay, now, something interesting, because I asked what happens to his life after. I don't think this necessarily says that he collaborates, but he's a snake. So this is a snake related to Russia. There's a snake here. Could be him. Okay, and he works to a snake that has a public reputation, that hustles to get a public reputation, the reputation. I don't know, something tells me, I don't know that he does. I feel like he unlike Ivanka, I do believe that maybe he leaves the country, actually. I think it's more likely because we have the card here related to Russia traditionally, and this is a card of moving away. Okay, so I feel like it's possible that he could, after this whole thing is over, he ends up moving there. He's a snake. He could be an agent for them or something, and that affects his position in the world. Okay, so he is able to somehow leverage this snaky situation into a position in the world by moving away somewhere else. Okay, so I don't know. This is Eric. I feel like it's weird. I'm like, let me find out a little bit more about him. What happens in the end? Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah, baby. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm so sad to see these cards. Oh my God. Yeah, and I feel like this is telling, because I was like, I need more information, basically. So this is a card of a person who's stuck and doesn't have, like, he's depending on external circumstances, and he's a loyal person. Okay. And then here, this could be him, actually. King of, this is always Trump, because upside down. I think this is the blonde guy who's kind of an emo. That could be him. Okay. And the card that I love to see, the combination that I love to see. The coffin. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So, and then what do we have after that? We have the side. Okay, perfect. Painful ending to the loyalist, or to the loyal person. So this is news of like sudden ending. So I just feel like the feeling I get here about him generally This is because obviously the reading's about him, and I'm like, okay, what really happens to him is that, yeah, I just feel like it's sudden, the sudden ending, and he's tied up because he's a loyalist. He's a family member, right? Whatever happens to dad happens to him. So as soon as things, whatever revolution happens, whatever changes happen, the sudden ending happens because it's time. So I almost feel like he's like a, almost like a puppet too, but sort of like his fate is so tied up to everything else that everybody involved in this, and like everything ends to them, okay? But in different degrees, okay? And I think here, what I see his role being in terms of the Trump thing, it's like he's more like a business manager type, even though obviously he's very dumb, but I feel like he's kind of in charge of like the, I don't say treasury, but sort of like the books, maybe something like that. And I think, yeah, because here, this is actually a card of finances. This is the second part without an indictment. So I feel like there's something to do. I feel like there's something about him where there's news about finances, actually, not just boss. And news about, like, maybe he provides information regarding financial details, okay? But essentially, the family there's an ending, and but I do have this nagging image in my mind that as soon as whatever, like, this whole thing ends, he flies away, and that it's almost like he has stashed some money, some secret money somewhere in some foreign bank account somewhere, I don't know where, but he leaves, and it's like he's never seen again, not seen again, but sort of like, yeah, I feel like I just see him at the airport, and he like goes, he's like, done, I'll leave. And so he rebuilds, and I feel like maybe in some island or something, like one of those like financial island, I forgot what it's called. No, not suicide. No, I don't know. Oh my God, that's right. You know what? There's a hangman here. So, but I those things, I don't know. I've never really, I don't know. I mean, those things are so hard to predict, right? I mean, like, I don't even know how you could, I guess, hangman and like, I don't know, but it's just like a weird, yeah, maybe that's it. A sacrifice in leaves America. But I feel like the whole thing, I have, guys, such a clear image in my mind, like a little movie. Basically, it's like him. I feel like he is some sort of accountant. I can see it. He's a numbers person. He's very on the down low. And even like a while back, he's already stashed this money away somewhere. And he's already made plans that once this whole thing is over, he's just going to go away. And that's what he does. And I feel like, almost like I see him living in a place like Bermuda or somewhere like that, like one of those like paradise islands. They're like tax havens or something. And I feel like he just goes on and leads kind of like a relatively simple life. Okay, because he knows sort of, how it happens too with criminals, like they move away to like, and I feel like CSA, but I feel like, what, there's so much, if you think about how much money there is of like money laundering, like ill-gotten gains, it's like millions, billions, trillions, who knows? I don't even know, like it's a lot of money. So it's like, there's a whole, even if it's like, you can get some of the money back, it's possible that you can't get the whole thing. Okay. So interesting. Yeah. Seychelles. Yeah, exactly. Those kinds of places. Okay. I feel like he just goes away and he has like I see him living in a relatively simple house, nice life, comfortable life, but he's like, he does his thing. Maybe has a small business, maybe some sort of like accounting thing, little thing. And sometimes there's like people trying to make documentaries about how he lives now, but he's just like, he's left. I feel like he leaves, and like, he like kind of like, he's like out of everyone. And I feel like I see him being resentful towards his dad. He's like, he feels bad for his brother, Don. That Don was like, he's like, he wanted my dad's approval so badly, and that my dad destroyed his life. I didn't want anything to do with my dad anymore, with my family. My sister is cold and calculated. She remarried. but I don't want anything to do. So I feel like in a way something about him, like, you know, something like that. So anyway, so okay, guys. So okay? So tell me if you think. Yeah, I don't. So tell me if you. Okay, I don't know if you change his name, maybe something like that. Okay, so tell me if you think I should do Don Jr. now, or should I just move on to Republicans? Maybe I should do like an update of Don. Okay, yeah, let's do Don. Since might as well just find out what happens to him. It's so interesting because I feel like what's happening. Maybe it's the live thing that I don't have to I don't have to do so much of the preparation for the readings, that I can like be more spontaneous. But I feel like now I'm being much more intuitive than before. Not that I wasn't before, but I feel like I'm seeing the images much more, and I integrating these images into the readings, like in terms of like trusting even the whole thing with him traveling. Like I think the cards say it, but it's also like I saw these images. Oh, interesting. I was very sick. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, so let's see here. Don Jr. What happens with Don Jr.? Yeah, I really do. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very different. I think it's good. It's oh my God, poor Don. I feel bad for him. He's like, and I feel like, his daddy used him so much. It's like he's not. I mean, think about like a normal dad. Like normal people be like, okay, I'm corrupt, so I don't want my children at all involved in this. I don't want them to have to, yeah. So exactly, last section. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, can you imagine? But again, like about Don, like Don Jr. Like if you're a normal person, you're like, oh, I'm involved in these things. I don't want my kids to get into this. It's dangerous. All this stuff. Even the mobsters, you're like, they try to like put the kids in normal colleges, and sometimes they come back, but they try to shield the children, okay, from this, but not Trump. Trump is like a narcissist, and he uses his kids. It's like, yeah, the pedophile is like, yes, he is, but he's like, I remember doing this other reading about him, and I saw him like he goes to prison, spends a long time in prison, and then he's like finally comes to terms with how he was abused as a child. Like he finds himself, he's kind of happy to go to prison. He's very poor afterwards, but like, he gets to know himself in prison. Okay, so anyway, so I have not been really, but like what happens to Don Jr. and then Mueller, update on Don Jr. and Mueller investigation, Don Jr. and the Mueller investigation, Don Jr. Don Jr. Don Jr. Don Jr. Supermax. Don Jr. Supermax. Don Jr. I'm a fool. Don Jr. I kill animals. Anyway. Yeah, yes, that's right. Those women, they're so like blank. I don't know. I don't feel bad for them. Like, remember how there was one like, President Trump, she was like one on Fox. She's like, and she had like lots of surgery also. She's like, it's all fake news. Oh, wow. Tell me something else, girlfriend. Oh, the other thing, I was so angry in this book talking about this. Like, so gross. So, totally change the subject a little bit. So, it turns out I have to do him soon. I know one of you really wanted Fox News. I have to do Fox News version. But so, it turns out Sean Hannity has a private airplane. Sean Hannity. Like, seriously? Sean Hannity, that trash. Oh my God, that guy's an idiot. He's like, his hair is like this, right? Hi, I'm Sean Hannity. I'm Sean Hannity, and the deep state is coming to get me. Like, whatever. His hair is so weird. I don't know. It's so strange, Sean Hannity. Like, anyway, so going back, Don Jr. and Mueller investigation, Don Jr., 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 Don Jr. and the Mueller investigation. Don Jr. and the Mueller investigation. I love it. Oh my God, I love it. Can you remember? I love it. I love it. If this is what you say, then I love it about the Hillary. It's like, are you that dumb? I love it. And it's like, he's like emailing WikiLeaks on Twitter or something. Emailing, I'm sorry, like DMing. Hey, Julian, what's up? Oh my God, Julian Assange, he wrote back to me, man. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Absolutely. I agree. I feel sad because, there's something about it, even though like he's a horrible person, there's some like family thing going on with them. But I feel like even, I don't understand like honestly about them, especially Ivanka, I guess, because she's the most prominent maybe. But like you have these kids, you have money, you have a life. Why do this? It makes no sense. Like why sacrifice? Yes, you're right. Diane you're right. Totally. Fuck them. Yeah, totally. You're right. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. It's like I feel like, maybe being in that position, they don't care. Like they just like are so narcissistic and gross. They just don't care about it. They don't think about the future. They just think about the present. And it's like you read the book and it's like, is Jared as dumb as he sounds? He's so dumb. But it's like these people, like, once you give power to people like that, I don't know. They just like, I don't know. Anyway, so Don Jr. I'm like hours doing this. Okay. So, okay, let me just quickly. Yeah. Yeah. Don Jr. and Nora. Okay. Okay, so okay. So all right. Okay, so the first part of the question is what does Miller have on him? This is the Emperor upside down, obviously his dad, abuse of power. And so this is interesting because it's like it tells me more about this card actually. That this card is about like travel or like communication abroad, because you have here, and it's funny, somebody had just mentioned like, I love it, exactly this. So it's like, if the email is what it says it is, I love it. He's happy. He's happy with the emails he found. Okay, so it's like communication abroad. Something about communication, travel. Yeah, communication abroad, maybe about the emails, okay? And Wheel of Fortune, up like positive shift changes that are corrupt. So this travel and conversation abroad for corruption purposes. And again, travel or something related to travel. And this card, the star, is also related to networks. Okay, so it's because sometimes the stars are themselves networks. So corrupt networks related to writing, corrupt networks, and communication and travel related to messaging. Yeah, so So corruption and like communication with foreign travel powers related to messaging and corrupt networks. Okay, so that makes perfect sense considering what he's done. Okay, now in terms of an indictment, I feel like it's interesting. I see these it's weird that these cards I've shuffled and shuffled, but similar cards appeared to him and I think his brother and sister, but it's possible that this is a news of maybe the indictment is here, because I'm pretty sure, I'm sure he's going to be indicted. I don't necessarily see it like on, actually, I saw, yeah, I don't necessarily show the indictment card here, but this is it. Like, so this is news about the child again. Okay, so he's trying to move away from disappointment, and I think this is probably news about his indictment because of money issues related to the. Okay, and then this is like this is, you know what I think this means? This is a hate speech. Okay, like this. The part. So something about him. I think he's also connected to something related to the networks, Twitter, or like some sort of messaging. Okay, and there's news about his involvement with this negative messaging and money related. This is money related to the election. Okay, so the election of the dad who was presented as a child, and all the negative messaging or possibly data related to the election. And that's the news. That's the indictment. Okay, yeah. I guess I'm learning to read this more like this card, the writer more as this. So what I get here, you know, I'm reminded instantly of those news. Remember how there was a while back a lot of news about the server at Trump Tower? There's supposedly some sort of server that connects to Alpha Bank or something like that. I don't know, something like that. So I feel like this is related to that as well. Okay, so there's something about they catch his communications. Okay, this is meetings. Oh, you know, I forgot. This card is the card of meetings. So meetings about the election, and it could also mean the networks. Okay, so the aggressive meetings, but also bully hate speech and stuff like that. So that's what I think. Okay, so the election of the dad and all the meetings related to the election. And I think here, in some ways, I believe the news could be in the indictment itself. Even though I hadn't identified it as such, now it's making more sense. Okay. So that's that. Now, for his life, yeah, it's funny because the card's actually relatively positive. So here you have sadness. Oh, I can read the positive. No, apathy and sadness once things are revealed. Dreams come crashing down. In the world again. Okay, so they're looking into his position in the world, and he's assertive and has some sort of invitation. An invitation probably from Russia. Here's a Russia card again. He's isolated, and Russia goes to Russia. But it's funny because I wonder, because this is, I'll show you more that I think things are going to go end badly for him. But because I forgot that this question here was about what happens to his life after the Mueller investigation. So it's possible that this happens after he leaves jail, okay? Or I think he's going to jail, but because like I feel like he has a reputation, a reputation here related to Russia, and Russia may invite him, okay, here eventually in the future, and like his brother, he may leave the country eventually. I don't know. I mean, this is like really way into the future, and I have to remember that I maybe asked the wrong question. Now, I pulled out more cards, okay, because I wanted to know about, like, yeah, about what happens to him, like more, because, you know, stuff like that. Okay, so the cards I got were people are happy dancing in the street because of an ending. Okay, so I think the Trump presidency comes to an ending. And he's obviously disappointment. It's an ending to his values, okay? And this is justice overturned. Obviously for him, it's not good news. Justice overturned. in the public. So the public enjoys his bad fate. Okay, so people are happy about an ending in the public eye. Okay, so I think like the whole thing with him becomes public. Okay, the justice upside down becomes public. In the public eye, there's celebration. Let's see here, the tarots again. There's celebration in public, parties in public. Once the whole thing comes to an end, there's people are happy. They feel love. I feel love. Okay, they feel love. And there's gatherings. And it's almost like, you know what the image I have in my mind now, I hope it does come true. It's like, I vaguely remember the whole thing with O.J. Simpson. But you know, when people were like, oh, the TVs were on and everywhere, people were like, oh, is it going? Yes. It would say people were like, oh, yeah. So like, oh my God. Like, it's like when he is indicted or whatever, goes to jail or whatever happens, justice negative. Like, yeah, it becomes a public pop culture thing. People celebrate the ending and celebrate this like negative justice outcome for him in public. Okay, so I feel like he becomes a boogeyman, but you know, because he has done horrible things. But I think it's one of those moments where like, and I think honestly, like I know it's like bad things are bad things, but I feel like I think the committed crimes against 330, I don't know how many exactly the population, but let's just say they committed crimes against 300 million people. Okay, like, and I'm not saying that what O.J. Simpson did was great, obviously not. But if you think of the scale of everything they have impacted, of all the people they have impacted with their things, I don't understand, like, it's 100 times, it's not 100 times, it's like not those things, you don't want to like put a scale on the equivalence of things, but if you think about how much harm they have caused, like, you remember, and it's funny, like this, people say this on Twitter a lot, like, oh, remember when we used to be able to sleep well? Remember when we had a president that cared about this country? That was like, it's like basic, right? But we don't even have that. We don't have that at all. So totally, yeah, it's just like, it's like these people they're murderers, they're horrible people, right? And it's like, well, who is to say that, you know, exactly, like, who is to say that? I think the only reason why this hasn't worked out as well as they wanted was that Trump is incompetent. And in the book, I'm not here to sell the book or anything, but the book talks about it, how incompetent everybody is. Like, they pick people who don't know anything. They've never done anything, and they're like, oh, hit the government. Let's just do differently from what Obama does. But they don't know anything. They don't know how the government works. They are incompetent. Like, even Trump, he's never worked. Like, whatever he got in life was not because of work, but because he grew up from his dad's money and stuff. So it's just because we're lucky in a way they were so incompetent and so dumb, and that the people that work for him are so dumb, you know? Yeah, exactly. Can you even, like, people are like, can you imagine this guy, this journalist, how come he had access? And it's like, well, hello, it's not that hard. It's just say, Trump, you're the greatest president who ever lived. Like, you're the greatest. It's like, he's like, yeah, come to my house. You know, he'll be like, he'll trust you just because you flatter him. That's very dangerous, right? That's like especially for a president, like, it's a very dangerous thing to very dangerous behavior. Sorry. So anyway, okay. So we've done, oh my God, we've done the family. Okay, we've done the family at length. We've done Charles Kushner, Eric, Ivanka, Don Jr. And now, so guys, it's been almost, again, 1 hour and almost 30 minutes. So I feel like I'm gonna come back at 9, because I think now it's fair to say that we really looked into a lot of very important. It's funny, it was not at all what was planned, but I think I actually like this almost more, because we really look into things that are on our minds. Okay, and I'm going to start then the Republicans. at 9. Okay, so I have here, and I think I'm going to start with Don McGann, because Don McGann right now is a person who what is Cynthia asked, what does Ivana think of it? Ivana, yeah, maybe Ivana. I have to do Ivana. Basically, like Ivana. But now it's a little, like, honestly, I'm feeling my energy a little bit lower. It's like I don't want to go past 90 minutes again. Like, let's stop now, and I'm gonna come back at 9. Okay, come back at 9 and do Republicans. So, like I said, I want to do Don McGann, because Don McGann is a very important person in this. He knows all about the Comey letter, and I think he's supposedly talking to Mueller. I don't know exactly, but I think we need to find out about Don McGann. Okay. No, I want to do 9, because it's like, you guys, I have so many questions. Can you imagine what's going to happen this week? Crazy. Like, we need to deal with this. We need to find out. I need to find, it's like lots of people. So I feel like again, it's important to find out about Don McGann. And then all those like Chuck Grassley. I think everyone requested him. Chuck Grassley. And then Jim Jordan, Donna Rohrabacher, and Trey Gowdy. All these people. You know what I mean? I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to bring some garlic and like bless myself or whatever. Like, these people are the worst. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like, right? So it's just Don McGann, Dara. Oh, you know, and I also have to do Nunes, more details on Nunes, because I feel like, yes, I saw that he's going to be indicted, but there's more. Okay. Anyway, so, and I think I can ask also, maybe at the start, I don't know, like, will the Republicans be all indicted at once? It's a fair question. Okay. Yeah. So I feel like it would be maybe a starting question. Will all these Republicans be indicted at the same time? I mean, whatever. I'll see what the cards say. Okay. Yeah. So, if I see. All right. So anyway, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to 9 o'clock. I'm going to do to go to the Republicans. Okay, focus on those Republicans, and like let's like, whatever, protectors. I'm gonna light some candles, because like these are trashola Republicans. These people, they're like such devils. The group of them, and I want to know if they're gonna be indicted at once. Like, can you imagine the joy? Imagine the list. Indictments for Dara Rohrabacher, Trey Gowdy, Ted Cruz, Chuck Grassley, Jim Jordan, Darrell Issa, Mitch McConnell. Oh yeah, Pence. I have to do Pence, because you know what? I don't know. Yes, but how do I know? I don't know. Maybe I should have the last reading I do at 9. I should do, but Pence, it's my favorite, my most popular is Pence, the reading I've done for Pence. So yeah, Pence oh yeah, everybody wants Pence. I'm like, okay, let's do Pence. So, but okay, I should go, but like, okay, so I'm gonna add Pence to the list, and then like them as a group. Okay. So I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna think, yeah. Who's the most scary? They're all horrible. They're all horrible. I'm going to try to do something that, focus on the image stuff. Okay. So focusing on it, I'm going to close my eyes. And when I start, I'm going to do that again, just because I think it's such a tricky question. Who's next? Like, how do I even know? There's no card that's going to tell me like who's next. But I think if I close my eyes, like I could just try. Okay. Just try to figure out more, like who comes next. Or like, the other question I should ask just directly is like, how far are we from more indictments? How many okay, so that could be that. All right, so I'm gonna go now, and I'll come back at 9 o'clock. All right, okay, see you guys soon. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.